Welcome back to my trip around the contiguous US. After failing to complete my journey last year, I set out once again determined to finish it. This is the Big Loop 2. Where we left off, I had made it to Maine, coming up from the Midwest and crossing through North New England, where I was poised to reach the first big checkpoint of the trip. I started out day 10 in the town of Lubec, the easternmost town in the 50 states. Lobster in the roof. I had a real breakfast for the first time on the trip before setting off to the easternmost point of the contiguous US. Thankfully, the fog from the night before had cleared up, so now was a bright and sunny day. I had thought about trying to see the easternmost point at sunrise, but figured it wouldn't be worth it to get up that early, and also it'd be foggy, so what would the point even be? And it turns out the park was closed until 9 a.m., which, okay, why?
Alright, the mood is good right now. I'm on my way to the easternmost point of the contiguous US. It's also the easternmost point of the 50 states. Like, people say, oh, well, actually the easternmost point of the US is in Alaska. I mean, yeah, by longitude. That's measuring from Britain, dude. I don't live in Britain, I live in the US. Relative to the rest of the US, this is the easternmost point in the 50 states. Oh, shit, I'm already here.
That lighthouse up ahead is the spot I've been heading towards for the past 9 days.
Well, I did it. Look, there's the stone, the lighthouse. The first major point of the trip completed. I think technically the easternmost point of the US is back there. Hold on, yeah, I think it's that rock, but not very accessible, so yeah. Easternmost point of the US, it's all west from here pretty much.
Some guy was nice enough to take my picture in front of the stone marker, so shout out to that guy, I didn't even ask. This was a huge morale boost. I had finally made it to one of the extreme points on the trip and had knocked out my second extreme point overall. It felt like I had really achieved a goal here. Even though there was still a ways to go, my spirits were lifted and the nature here was beautiful. It was a nice temperature out, a nice breeze, things were looking up. I think it's kind of funny how the easternmost point of the contiguous US is called West Quoddy Head, because East Quoddy Head is in Canada. Another tidbit, my phone registered as Atlantic time here, so I was very confused for a brief second why the 10-minute drive took over an hour.
I'm on the beach right now. We're gonna see if I can find a little critter of some kind. That's the goal.
I found a spider.
Too Oregon brain for this.
The beaches I'm used to in Oregon have all sorts of creatures, but I just wasn't finding anything in the rocks until I came across this.
What the fuck is this? What is that?
I genuinely had no idea what this thing was at the time. Upon further research, I believe it's known as a sandworm. I was hoping to find like a crab or a starfish maybe, but nope. Worm from my nightmares. Well, it was about time to head south and west towards the next extreme point in Florida. Alright, first of the extreme points of this trip visited, second of the extreme points overall. Gotta say, liked it better than Angle Inlet. One, wasn't a complete pain in the ass to get to. I didn't have to go through customs twice and on a long gravel road and all of that, and just drove out here. Secondly, nicer view, and not as many mosquitoes, so yeah, a little bit nicer than Angle Inlet. Also closer to the actual easternmost point, where Angle Inlet's like so far away. Even reachable, you know? Like, why'd they put the buoy there? We've got another exciting day ahead. We're gonna be driving near the coast in Maine. The sun's out, day 10. I don't know if I said that earlier. Let's go to Bar Harbor. So I continued along the path through rural Maine, and this is pretty much the vibe. Hills, trees, and sometimes a view. One of the towns I passed through was called Cherryfield. I'm sure you can guess which crop they claim to be the capital of. Blueberries. Maine is famous for them, apparently. I also want to say congrats, McKenna. I have no idea who you are or what you did, but everyone make sure to congratulate McKenna in the comments. The other place I really wanted to stop at today was Acadia National Park, which you can see in the distance here. Bees, construction, more forest, and we're here. I love saying Bar Harbor with like a terrible Boston accent. Like it was made for it, like 3 R syllables in a row, like Bar Harbor. Yeah, Mom, me and the boys are going to Bar Harbor for the weekend. We're gonna beat the shit out of a whale. Or whatever Boston accent sounds like. I don't know why I'm going into Bar Harbor though, since I know it's a tourist trap. I know I'm gonna hate driving through it. I'm not going to Bar Harbor. I saw the main tourist spot. We're just gonna go back. You can't make me go to Baja, but yes, there are some nice things about being alone. I can do my terrible Boston accent as much as I want. I guarantee you, no one else would tolerate it for this long. I'm gonna cut so much of this. All roads lead to Bar Harbor out here, apparently. I was like, oh, I'll take this random turnoff road, and it's like, no, it's going to Bar Harbor, I think. I don't know, I didn't see any like hiking trail signs, so I'm just gonna assume that goes to Bar Harbor. I'm just putting in another clip of me saying Bar Harbor a lot. After driving through another heaping hunka chunk of forest, I started to see why Acadia stands out. I love hills, I love terrain, yippee! Maine is mostly forest, so it's rare you get to see the topography of the area, and growing up in the mountains, I do enjoy seeing the earth rising up in the distance. I made a stop at this garden featuring plants from all the habitats of Maine, including my favorite habitat, the roadside. There was a sign here which means someone must have thrown rocks at frogs, and I had a whole thing here but it didn't quite flow with the rest of the video, and basically it boils down to if you do that, you're a piece of shit. Now, even though I was already in a part of a park, there was a fee area, there was a toll gate up ahead, which was odd, but past here was made one of the busiest areas I've seen in a national park. There were parked cars for probably miles. I'm sorry to the residents of Maine for being one of the tourists here and just completely flooding this area. But I could see why this area was so popular. The rocky coastline really lended itself to a few postcard shots. Like, look at that and tell me it wouldn't be on a postcard. I mean, you know, if it was with a better camera, but you know. Tasty, tasty rust. I didn't want to linger too long as there was more to see, like this lake which I forgot the name of, and was not worth the time I spent trying to get a parking spot for, honestly. Perhaps the best feature of the park, though, is Cadillac Mountain, a mountain which provides far-reaching views of the surrounding landscape, and yeah. I assume that if you watch this far, you at least tolerate my jokes, but I got nothing here, it's just beautiful. It's pretty rare to get an easily accessible mountain so close to the coast. After a rough couple of days, my outlook on the trip was staying pretty positive. There are fewer national parks in the eastern United States, but what they lack in quantity, they don't make up for in quality, as my 3 least favorite national parks I've been to are in the eastern half of the US. Acadia is really cool though, and it's the only one I've been to in the east that I prefer to some west of the Mississippi. It is certainly my favorite of the trip so far, but that's like a hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby type of matchup. Getting moving down the road after the park was a whole ordeal. Welcome back to another traffic jam where, yeah, I am 100% the problem, since there's no way this traffic isn't at least 75% tourists. There are a couple other places I wanted to check out, but I spent a lot more time at Acadia than I expected. Common theme so far. Then there was this crazy bridge I saw. I was tempted to stop at the nearby Outlook, but I was losing time, and it was a day where I'd have to worry about fighting off tiredness with how late in the day it was, and I still have a lot of driving to do. I did have time for this rest area with these plastic bears that looked like they had the souls of people trapped within, and moose. The vibe at the end of the day is not as fun. I simultaneously feel like I'm doing too much and not enough at the same time. It's not a great feeling. That's just how anxiety feels though in general sometimes, I think. Well, check out Portland, Maine through the windshield smears. Alright, also one more thing. The fact that Maine still has like cash for its toll roads, like the other states I've passed through, like Illinois, New York, have like had electronic ones, and like the concept of a toll road to me is unfamiliar in general, so I was kind of worried about having to deal with them, like if I'd have enough cash on me. But it's like, oh, it's all electronic, I don't have to worry about it right this second. That's nice. But then Maine's like, nah, you need dollar bills if you don't have the Easy Pass. I don't have Easy Pass because I don't live here. Also, the old guy at the toll booth was blasting $1 Million Baby, which I think is very funny. A little bit later it occurred to me I might not know how the Easy Pass works. Like, for all I know, it's like, oh yeah, you just have to go to easypass.com. But I don't know how it works, so I've been paying in cash. Maybe I don't need to. I was having another reality setting in moment. I drove to Maine. I drove to Maine by myself. I drove all the way to Maine, dude. That's insane. This car has never been east of the Mississippi until, like, you know, what, I think about a week. Was it a week? Has it been a week? now I'm going down. Now I'm going to Florida. Oh shit, I think that's the bridge to New Hampshire up ahead. Well, alright, yeah. There it is. I was about to say new state, but you know, New Hampshire, first returning state of the trip. You know, completely new spot. We're close to the coast. We're not seeing anything though, so did I pass into Massachusetts? I might have passed into Massachusetts and not realized it. Because that's exit 90. So, oh, nope, there it is. Okay, that's weird. Massachusetts welcomes me. Literally 15 minutes after entering New Hampshire, I have left. New England is so small. I might make a cut for time video, and a lot of it would be from this part. Yeah, nighttime drive through Boston area. I was definitely feeling the tiredness. Good night. Day 11 of the big loop. We're into the second quarter. This is the angle you get. Am I naked under here? You'll never know. I'm just gonna go into Boston today. I actually have no idea what I'm gonna do. I don't know what there is to do in Boston, I realized this morning. Some park and ride. I just think it's funny because like every other plate, because like every single plate in here is New England. Oh, there's a Pennsylvania. That's the furthest plate away I've seen. But then, like, imagine, I really hope someone just walks past and is like, is that Montana? What the fuck? Now, at this point in the trip, I was perhaps a little bit exhausted and had a bit of a less eventful day in Boston. There were still some things I saw, like the Massachusetts State House. It looks pretty nice. The red brick decor definitely does differentiate it from other Capitol buildings. There's statues. Most of the day I spent wandering around the Boston Common and did a bit of people watching. I usually go to a statue like this freaky-ass arms one and find a bench nearby and sit for a minute, then rinse and repeat. One of the statues is dedicated to the invention of ether, so that's interesting. Jeez, that's terrible, but if it makes it into the video, it means I couldn't think of anything better. Oh. Apparently there was something called the Frog Pond around here. I was wondering how I could have missed something like that. Oh, that's how. Also, I almost ate shit because I tripped on a hole. Can you see it? I didn't spend the whole day in the park, though. I moseyed on over to the harbor to see what's up. On the way, I saw the best Boston landmark of all, Boston City Hall. Ever since I was a wee lad, it's been my dream to see Boston City Hall. This is what their old City Hall looks like, by the way, so clearly they upgraded. Okay, it's so funny how there's so much red brick architecture and then like a lot of modern stuff in downtown Boston, and it's just concrete. Continued to the harbor, passed by a Boston market. Not the chain, just like a market in Boston. Should probably call it by its actual name of Faneuil Hall or Faneuil Hall. I saw two different pronunciations to avoid confusion. And nearby I saw this thing. Boston? What is this? I know there's a plaque where I can read about it, but my question stands. What? I'd say most people in Boston look like they would belong in any American city, and then every so often, someone dressed up like Paul Revere would walk by. They don't tell you that about Boston. I know they do tours and are probably just off duty, but it's still amusing to see. There are also some people that I can only describe as a cartoonish depiction of a Bostonian. They had a thick accent, wearing a backwards Red Sox cap, matching jersey, or sometimes you'd be Celtics merch, and basketball shorts, holding a coffee from Dunkin'. To describe one person I saw, imagine Fred Durst, but Boston themed. Wouldn't that be someone you want to hire for your next birthday party? Okay, there's the harbor. I don't know why I felt compelled to come and see this. I don't like being in cities alone, and this didn't help. Okay, bye. Again, Boston seemed like a cool city to wander around, maybe even a top 5 city for wandering, since it seems like there was something pretty cool on every block downtown, but I'm fighting self-imposed demons over here, so... I wish I kept track of this earlier, because I feel like every single place I've stayed at has had a different shower. Just in my life, honestly. Like, what is this? I haven't seen any kind of shower that looks like this. Alright, day 12, big day today, driving to New York City. I'm nervous. I don't want to drive in New York City. I guess I don't technically have to, but you know. First, I had to get out of Mass, though. Entering Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Well, state number 15, Rhode Island. So the thing is, I do want to get out of the car in every state, But I have literally no idea where to do that in Rhode Island, because like I don't want I don't want to drive through New England towns anymore. So what did I do? I'm in Rhode Island. I stopped just so I could say I've set foot in Rhode Island. It fucking sucks here. Maybe there's a better thing. If I see it, I'll stop there, but there wasn't a better stop, like a rest area or something. I mean, I guess I could have pulled over in an urban area, but I don't like driving in urban areas in New England. So fight me, I guess. Are we in Connecticut yet? There it is, the sign's up ahead. Welcome to Connecticut, home of the submarine capital of the world. I was about to say, I don't feel like that's the first thing I associate with Connecticut, but then I was like, what is the first thing I associate with Connecticut? And then I realized, I don't know. Alright, I've had some time to think about it. Lyme disease. Well, I guess more accurately, I associate Lyme disease with Connecticut. Less so Connecticut with Lyme disease, but it's the only thing I could really think of. Oh yeah, for those wondering if I have Lyme disease, probably not. I think I would have shown symptoms at this point. Second time this trip, 3 states visited in 1 hour. Oh sure, there's a rest area once I get to Connecticut. There was one stop I had planned between Boston and New York, the Pez Museum, featuring the world's largest Pez dispenser. Although it doesn't actually dispense a Pez, so can it really be considered the world's largest? I think it'd be really funny if the giant one dispensed regular size candy though, but still dropped it from the top like 10 feet down to the floor. I might need to back up a bit since I don't know if everyone watching knows what Pez are. Basically, what if flavored chalk came in pills and then you shove those pills into collectible sticks? Do they taste good? No, not really, but at least they use regular flavors now instead of the originals, which included chlorophyll? Which, what does that even taste like? Like plants? Green? The process of photosynthesis? The museum had a bit of history, but mostly it was a giant display room for all of the Pez dispensers and merch over the years. Additionally, there was a window into the factory. They gave you a bingo card and you have to find the dispensers and write down the year they were released. I swear I could not get a bingo for the longest time. I was not trying to find as many as possible, I swear. I do like the bingo element. It adds a little bit to what is essentially, look at all of our products. There were some kind of cool dispensers, but there were way more scuffed ones. I'm eternally sighing and I scream. 15 grasshoppers tall, by the way. They also had some President Pez dispensers for sale, except they were all out of the recognizable ones, but stocked to the brim with F-tier memorability ones. Like, yeah, I got you a president. Sorry, they were out of the notable ones, so here's James Buchanan. There was one bush left, but between the time I took a picture and when I went to actually buy the Pez, someone else bought it. Because getting someone a bush Pez dispenser is also very funny. Sir, a second Pez has hit the dispenser. It's not even the right bush. Well, I spent way longer talking about the Pez Museum than I thought I would. Time to get back on the road and it's perhaps my new least favorite state. I know I only saw a small portion of Connecticut, but it is maybe my least favorite section of interstate to drive on. Especially outside of a major city. Throughout the whole state, it was always a little stressful. Anecdote time, I noticed the highest variety in out-of-state plates in Connecticut. I'm not talking about just like surrounding New England states either. I'm talking I saw New Mexico's and Florida's and North Carolina's and stuff. I wasn't keeping track, so that could very well be biased because I noticed like 2 out-of-state plates in a row. But, you know, there's not a lot of substance I can say about Connecticut, or at least what I saw of it. I feel like this will inspire some ire from Connecticutans. Connecticutites? Connecticuters? What do you call someone from Connecticut? I just realized I have no idea. Oh, Connecticuter was correct. Or nutmegger. Shout out Walter's Hot Dogs. I was behind them in traffic for over an hour. Maybe someone can let me know if they're any good, but I wasn't planning on stopping in Mamaroneck or White Plains. I like always start the recording like a mile. Wait, mile 15. Oh, that was, wait. That was the New York state line. Alright, that's been the least marked state crossing the whole trip. But we're back in New York, finally escaped Connecticut. And yeah, New York City. Here I come. Woo. Once again, I was parking on the outskirts and taking the train in, but this time I'd be leaving the car for 3 nights, so I hoped everything would be alright when I returned. I
took one last look, and then got on the train. I wish trains were more common in the US. Then I wouldn't have to deal with as much traffic. I could just take the train. I'm pretty sure the only passenger route in Montana is the Empire Builder along the High Line, and that's a decently far distance from where I live. Okay, train rant over. I have now entered New York City. The first night, I met up with one of my friends who some of you might know. It's A.G. Black. You might recognize him from Agblat D or have no idea who I'm talking about. But shout out A.G. Black. I really appreciate him letting me stay with him while I was in New York. Go subscribe to him on YouTube. Hopefully he starts making videos again. And if he does, they'll be good. The first night, I was kind of tired. Didn't really film anything, so we just kind of hung out. Now, my first day in New York, I just kind of wandered around Brooklyn. I kind of forgot I was making a video for a little bit and just wandered for the sake of wandering. I did find a spot with a cool view of Manhattan, though. Now, what did I spend the night doing? This is the angle. It's just... I'm not even playing Fortnite. I'm sure there's a lot more Fortnite than you expected from this travel video, but what you have to understand is that they added Hank Hill as a skin, and he might unironically be the #1 character I wanted to play in Fortnite. Okay, it's not like I spent my whole time in New York playing Fortnite. The next day we went out and did stuff. I'm very bad at figuring out what to do stuff with people. On my own, sure, I'll do whatever, but now I have to figure out what to do with twice the number of people? We decided to go to the American Museum of Natural History. Now, you might recognize this museum from that one Ben Stiller movie, Meet the Fockers. Have you ever wanted to go to a zoo where none of the animals move? Because, yep, that's what this felt like. A lot of the exhibits were just taxidermied animals in glass cases, and it's like, yep, there they are. AG said he appreciated the murals in the background more than the dioramas themselves, and yeah, I get that. It's a museum, so time for a bunch of kind of one-off jokes I don't know how to make cohesive or have any sort of flow in the video. In addition, there were exhibits about cultures around the world. Comedic entertainment.
Western Mexico. I don't know. I'm a big fan of Turtle Man in Lowland Maya.
Night at the Museum would have been a very different movie if this guy showed up. I bet this was at least one person's first time seeing a depiction of a penis. Completely changing gears, there were these miniature dioramas which had a depth effect that made it look like they were popping out of the painting. You might think I have a lot to say about dinosaurs, but honestly, not really, since it can be summarized with the fact that they're really fucking cool. Then, in the rocks and minerals section, I found what I could only describe as a video game side quest. Greetings, traveler. Can you find my 5 crystal fish? They should be scattered about within this room. I would go and get them myself, except some rapscallion has nailed my feet to the floor. We managed to find 4 before giving up. They only found 4, that's good enough, I guess. Then we ended with the aquatic room, which really makes the animal displays feel like a glass zoo. Do you think some dad has seen this and they got so mad they made their whole family leave? Of course, the centerpiece of this room is the massive blue whale sculpture hanging from the ceiling. Isn't it crazy that we're not only alive at the same time as them, but also to our knowledge, they're the largest animal to ever exist? AG said it felt the same from when he was a kid and had an update, and I was like, yeah, the vibe definitely felt like that. A bit stuck in the past, much like a museum. After that, AG went home, which fair enough, and I went on a sightseeing montage. Gotta collect as many famous landmarks as I can, like Central Park, home of the world-famous crab obelisk, the Guggenheim, the Met, that one church, Rockefeller Center, New York City Library, the Empire State Building, which from below doesn't look like anything. Now feels like a good time for the tourist rant. Feels hypocritical to complain about tourists visiting when I myself was one, but at the same time, there are so many people who just completely ignore the flow of traffic to where it's infuriating. This happens pretty much everywhere, but it was most prevalent in Manhattan, especially in the tourist zones. Like, why are you stopping in the middle of the crosswalk to take pictures? What the fuck are you doing?
Family of 5, shoulder formation, snail's pace.
I saw someone stop in the turnstile for the subway. If you're confused, maybe watch someone else do it first. I don't know. I know I'm not free of sin. I'm definitely very spatially unaware at times, but man, I try to step aside before zoning out. I'm not saying you gotta be like, move, 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 but like, you gotta go with the flow a little bit. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I went all the way to the Battery on the south end of Manhattan to catch a glimpse of the Statue of Liberty. Epic. The crowds had definitely died down since the rain started, and it was getting late in the day, so maybe there wouldn't be a line for the bull statue. Nope. I don't see the appeal of waiting to take a picture of that, so I moved on. The One World Trade Center looked pretty cool in the fog, but nearby was perhaps my favorite landmark in New York. Octopus statue. Right next to the giant spine. Why is there a giant spine in New York? I don't know, it's a mall, apparently, I think. I don't know why I say I think. I went in there, it was definitely a mall, whatever. But after that, I went back to AG's place, so you know what time it is.
Do I look like I know what a JPEG is? I just want a picture of a goddamn hot dog.
I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but this was my first time in New York City, and this is what I was doing. My time in New York felt like a nice end to the trip, and like it was time to start heading home. Wait, what do you mean I'm just about a third of the way through? Why did I decide to do this? Oh my god. So, next time on The Big Loop 2.
Alright.
Thanks for watching part 3 of The Big Loop 2. You know, I'd really appreciate it if you like and subscribe, plus, you know, subscribing helps make sure you don't miss any parts, and we still got a few more to go. Also, you can hype videos now. I still don't fully understand what it means, but once again, I've been enjoying seeing all the feedback to the last couple parts of The Big Loop 2, and, you know, I hope it continues into the future, so once again, thanks for watching.